This one's hot off the presses. Daphne Draws Data. There are all these fun characters in this one. And here, there is an example of polar bears. So which polar bear can dive the deepest? So each of these categories, in essence, is an individual polar bear. And they have a depth that they can go. Now, just remember, we go down in the water. So we're in the bottom right-hand quadrant of our graph. It's always good to show kids graphs, not only in the top right-hand quadrant of the 4 quadrants of our graph. So that, yes, that is why the bars are going down here. But here, the length of the bar or the depth of the bar indicates the value, the measured value for that particular polar bear, for that particular category. Okay, so this is different than how many observations we made in that category. That's a value for an individual, and then we're representing that with the bar. One might wonder like what that actually tells us, like what we're doing, but that's a whole nother thing. But what you can see is like, so what you're then doing is you're comparing sort of like, you're looking at like the deep or the, the length or the, which is longer, which is shorter across them to get a sense. Now I said like, we can sort of decide if that's like worth it, because it might also be helpful just to sort of look at this along a dot line and sort of see comparisons across, but whatever. So here the bar is representing the value for that particular category. Now, what if as we move forward, we start collecting more values? And yes, please, all of our students should collect more data values, measure more values for each category. So it's not that we have just one, because in essence, our variable here is polar bears. So rather than, so we can look at this as, we can compare these 5 polar bears, or what if we were wanting to compare polar bears to sea lions? And then we have 5 replicates or 5 samples of our polar bears, and we want to compare those 5 in the group of polar bears against 5 sea lions, for example. I have moved off of the book, but this is the book. It was written by Cole Nossum Knaflic and illustrated by John Skewers. I will put a link to this, with the caveat that all of these books have some interesting definitions of graphs and different things like that. But they are great to help kids look and just take it all with a grain of salt.